And so after he was paired with his bookkeeping VA, he said the relationship was night and day. He said he felt like he truly had a team member and he really felt supported. But what was funny is his wife came back and she thanked us for giving her husband back. She said for the past year or two, he's just been so anxious and stressed out about the bookkeeping and the finances and all of that. She's like, he's back to his happy self now.
We've all been there, feeling stuck in the...
Welcome to Big Bold Moves Abundant Life. I'm your host, Lisa Marie Heinz. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with someone I not only admire professionally, but genuinely call her my friend. Kirsten Graham has a remarkable ability to see potential in others and help them move from where they are to where they truly want to be. Our conversation today is about business, abundance, leadership, and the confidence that comes from understanding your numbers, creating clarity around your goals, and more importantly, it's about building a life and a business with intention. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and enjoy some of my conversation with Kirsten Graham. Kirsten, I am so excited to welcome you today. Today we have Kirsten Graham of Six Figure Business Coaching with us, and I truly have the pleasure of not only working alongside of her, but also knowing her. I know her heart, and when it comes to wanting to help others, I think that's what speaks her language the best, especially to get into somebody's mind, hear what they're doing, hear what they're thinking, and hear where they're going, and then to elevate that. There is such a great confidence about you, Kirsten, but the one incredible thing that I love about you most is what you do in how you see others. So I want you to know that I deeply admire that in you. And I'm so excited for everybody who's listening today to really get to hear your heart and hear the things that you do so that they could maybe investigate and see what that looks like for them. Welcome, Kirsten Graham.
Thank you, Lisa Marie. I am so happy that we both live here in Florida and we've become great friends. And I so enjoy hanging out with you. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation today.
It's definitely going to be great. What I love to do, Kirsten, and you know me a little bit better than most people, and that is to really start with what I feel is important, and that is for you to describe to me what abundance is in your life and how you see abundance.
Yeah. So abundance for me, I think, is having a joyful life and being challenged. I'm a person who loves to learn. So having an opportunity to learn and grow is also very much a part of abundant life for me. It's really interesting. You know what we do because we help our clients and we also pair them with virtual assistants. I didn't realize when we first started doing that, because you're always passionate about helping your clients, right? But I didn't realize how passionate I was going to become about these fabulous people halfway around the world and to help them build more abundant lives. So I think for me, abundance is about giving, obviously receiving, but also just learning and growing and helping people. That makes my life very abundant.
That's beautiful. Well said, well said. And I do know that very closely because we do work together. And you're right. You don't even know for a second how what you're doing will impact so many others. So I want you to take me back to where maybe it all began. I don't know. Maybe it was the earlier days, maybe what you did when you were younger, maybe when you were a little kid. When you look at what you did back then to where you are today, tell me about some of those interests that you had and how they line up to what you're doing.
Okay, so my dad used to always joke that I would be great in the military if they would start me off as a general. My sister-in-law gave me this pillow right here that says, I am not bossy, I just have better ideas. So I think from a very early age, delegation was something that came naturally to me. So I think that, so I've always had all the businesses that I've always had staff and support. And I didn't realize that that wasn't necessarily, for lack of a better word, normal, that there's so many solopreneurs that just dig in their heels and try to do everything. So that was a learning curve for me.
Excellent. And we have the camera set up where you talk, I have to be quiet. I talk, you have to be quiet. And I'm cracking up over here without making any noise because of what you're saying. So take me back there for a moment to specifically to how you're helping people and entrepreneurs really understand their numbers, because I know that just doesn't happen overnight. It had to evolve from somewhere. So how did you see the structure of what you're doing today line you up for that focus?
Yeah, so everything we have done, Jeannie and I have been business partners for over a decade now, and everything we have done has been around marketing. So helping our clients start a podcast like you, or helping them get booked on podcasts with a VA that does that for them, or providing support with building funnels and landing pages. So everything we've done for the past decade has been around marketing. In late 2024, early 2025, our bookkeeper, our long-term bookkeeper, retired and she sold her business. So obviously we could have gone with the person who purchased it. We could have chose to find another local bookkeeper. But I decided, because I'd already been hiring bookkeepers for law firms and bookkeeping companies. So I said to Jeannie, why don't we just go and outsource our bookkeeping? And so we did. And we knew we would save money doing that. But what we didn't realize, which is crazy considering how long we've been outsourcing, I didn't realize how much the relationship with the bookkeeping, we call them virtual assistants, bookkeeping virtual assistants, to infer that they're overseas and more affordable, but they're all trained professional bookkeepers. I didn't realize how that relationship was going to shift so much for us. And I guess the way I would explain that is something super simple. And our other bookkeeper, we had for ages, she was amazing. But our bookkeeping VA asked us in our second or third meeting, you have several revenue streams. Would you like me to break those down for you? And I was like, oh, yeah, thanks. Now, our other bookkeeper never brought that up, but I'd never thought of it. No big deal. But what happened was from her doing that, it gave us way more clarity than we had before. And it shifted how we saw things. When you work with a business to business relationship, I think it's very different than business to virtual assistant who's on your team. So once we got our bookkeeper up and running, we started talking a little bit about it. We had several people ask us, are you going to create a program and a process around this? And to be honest, we had no intention of doing that. But I started asking how many people would be interested. And it was really fascinating. So that's how we ended up creating Love Your Profit. And it's been amazing.
And so my next question, it really works right around what you said. And it's about big, bold moves, moments. And just knowing that you saw evolution come to where you are today. Can you pinpoint any big, bold moves that you've made to maybe set you apart from, okay, so this was an evolution, this kind of just happened, but there might have been some times in your business through all the different things that you've done where you can pinpoint those big, bold steps that you had to take that may not have been very comfortable?
Yeah, so we started outsourcing 17 years ago. It was a long time ago. And we did that. I was Jeannie's mentor. She had a marketing company, a marketing agency. And it was back when most businesses were starting to see that they had a website at that point, but now they were starting to understand that Facebook had first come out with fan pages. And we all know that businesses that got involved with those early on made a lot of money. We also knew that blogging and LinkedIn were really popular, as well as email marketing. So Jeannie had some classes around those topics and paid classes, and she filled them. And then eventually people reached out to her and said, I don't want to do this whole Facebook thing, and I don't want to do this blogging thing. And so her agency really became a digital agency really quickly, and it took off. And so she needed to hire help when she chose to start a business so she could stay home with her 1-year-old and her 3-year-old. So it wasn't like she was just laying around eating bonbons. She was busy enough as a mom. So I said, I've read about outsourcing. Would you want to try it? And she said, you'll help me. And you know me, I always love a good challenge. So I'd always had staff, and my mortgage company at that time, I think I had 9 or 10 employees. So it was nice to be able to help her through that process and learn from it. If it could be done wrong, over the years, we did it wrong. Like, I'll just be 100% honest, because this was before Zoom. It was before WhatsApp. So we were doing just a lot of email back and forth, and it was just a different process. And over the years, I think one VA asked Jeannie if she could pay him in advance because he had an emergency, and she did. And then she never heard from him again. Just little things that have happened. But what I realized, and I think what Jeannie also realized, and we talked a lot about this, is being successful with a VA or anyone who works for you. It's not just about them, it's also about you. So we really had to learn how to manage all of the tasks that we wanted our VAs to do. We had to figure out how to onboard them properly. We got better at interviewing. Jeannie is fantastic at creating systems and processes and workflows. So all of those things have developed over the years. But I would just say, I think people think it looks easy right now. It wasn't easy. It was something that, in all honesty, Jeannie and I have joked a lot about it. Either we're really stupid or really stubborn, because some of the things that happen, it's crazy that we stuck with it, to be honest.
So that's definitely a big, bold move because
Yeah.
clearly when you step out of your comfort zone and you just let's see what happens, you're taking a big chance. With the ability to persevere and just to have somebody to partner with you, what a huge difference. And I know that you've taken your businesses and you are today, you talk about love your profit. So I just want to go into that for a few moments because I think that's a really great place to focus. Once you have your finances up and running and in a similar business, you really get that clarity to do the things that you do best. So many people, they're avoiding their finances. They try to do everything quietly, but it rattles in the background. So, what do you see for a real person listening to this right now who might be avoiding their numbers? What can they do to get started with just talking about it?
Well, first of all, I think, like Jeannie said the other day in one of our master classes, the word money invokes more emotions than any other word in the English language. There can be a lot of shame and guilt around managing our personal finances. Maybe you're in debt. And Lisa Marie, I love that you help people get out of debt and stay out of debt. Maybe within your business, you're behind on your bookkeeping, or you're maybe even behind on your taxes. Or maybe it's up to date, but you really don't understand like your profit and loss on your balance sheet. Because of that, there is just a ton of shame and guilt. And we all assume that every other business owner out there knows it all and they have their act together, and we don't. And that's simply not true. So, what I found through the process of bringing clients into our program, Love Your Profit, is that, first of all, I thought most of the clients that we would attract would be the people who were doing their bookkeeping on their own. And when I say doing it, meaning they really didn't have a bookkeeping software yet. They were generally just scrambling at tax time to figure out what happened in their checking account and what receipts they could find, and then just giving that information to their accountant. And we have attracted a lot of clients like that. But we also ended up attracting clients who had bookkeeping software. Some of them had a bookkeeper, but it got so expensive they let them go and they were trying to do it themselves. And we also attracted some clients who had bookkeepers currently, but still felt like it had become more expensive, but they still didn't feel like they had a handle on their finances. And I don't think it's the bookkeeper's fault. I think it's just we have a shortage of bookkeepers, we have a shortage of CPAs. So clients often don't have someone that can sit down with them and really explain things to them. And that was our big push with the bookkeeping virtual assistants, is I didn't want someone who, let's say, would work with you, Lisa Marie, and they'd help you get your software up to date, and they would help you get all your bookkeeping up to date, and they would keep it up to date. That's great. But I wanted something that would go even deeper than that. I wanted someone who would work with you each month to go over your profit loss and your balance sheet so that you could really understand what was going on. When we think about our unique abilities, we all have God-given talents and we love doing what we do. We have to accept that there are other people, their God-given talents is bookkeeping and numbers, and that's where they're just geniuses. And so we wanted to make sure that we empower the bookkeeping VAs and our clients to start having conversations, and for the bookkeepers to point out things like, you spend a lot more in this category this month. Let's go through those transactions and make sure, one, I categorize them correctly, and two, that there hasn't been anything on your account that you didn't know about. Or helping people understand if they have a great opportunity come up for them, that they can figure out how to move money around to make that happen. Because when you have your finances in order, it's not just about a stress-free tax time, which is always amazing, but it's really about having information month to month or even week to week and day to day to be able to make the best decisions in your business. And that is very empowering.
And I know too that one of the comments or one of the focuses that you put your mind on when you're working with clients is you mentioned awareness creates control. And again, we can relate to that. You're right. You can just take back your power and allow some of the systems going on in the background to work once you have everything up and running. So, can you walk us through what actually works with your client to your VA and what are the steps that they take to get started? Somebody might be listening and, oh, yeah, that sounds great, but how do I actually even get started with that?
Yeah, it's really interesting because what Jeannie and I do is very different. I always like to say we're not a marketing agency and we're not an outsourcing agency. So we create programs because both of us are coaches and teachers. So we create programs, but where we're different than everyone else is that each program comes with a trained virtual assistant. Okay. So whether it's one of our marketing programs or in this case, the bookkeeping. So what happens with the client? We've learned over the years, and it's especially true now, our goal in our trainings and our coaching is to give our clients only what they need to move forward and get the support up and running as quickly as possible. So when you log into the portal for Love Your Profit, in the welcome video, we acknowledge the fact that we have two different pathways or two different tracks. Because like I said, some clients are coming to us where everything's in a shoebox. They don't have bookkeeping software. And so those clients would start at module 1 and we talk them through all of those things so that they can be prepared to hire their bookkeeping virtual assistant. If someone comes to us and they already have their bookkeeping software set up and all their chart of accounts are up to date, then we send them on to module 3 because our goal is not to provide information that you don't need, to educate you only on what you need. So once our clients are ready, they fill out a form. And once they fill out that form, I pair them with the bookkeeping virtual assistant that I think would be the best fit for them. So I'm always in the hiring process. I always have a roster of bookkeepers. The cool thing about bookkeepers is they can work with multiple clients because most of our clients that are coaches and consultants, they're using anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a month of bookkeeping services. If maybe they have a small construction company or a products promotions company, maybe they're using 10 to 15 hours a month. So we're always in communication with the bookkeepers to make sure that as I'm giving them clients, at some point they'll hit capacity, they let me know, and then they're no longer on the roster to receive new clients. And it's very important to me when I'm interviewing and vetting the bookkeepers that they understand that quality of service is the most important thing to us. To be able to have scheduled set meetings with each client, to show up to those meetings on time, to really be present to help coach those clients on their finances. So we really work with both sides, the client and the bookkeepers. One of the other things that Jeannie and I do with all of our programs is we provide live coaching. So every month I have live office hours. So if anyone in the program or
This episode is brought to you by Fearlessly Debt Free. Do you have great income, but the debt just doesn't seem to be going down fast enough? Just know that you are not alone. At Fearlessly Debt Free, I help people just like you pay everything off. Credit cards, loans, even mortgages, in half to a third of the time, for half to a third of what you owe. And no, this isn't budgeting, it's not debt consolidation or bankruptcy. It's math, it's strategy, and it's automatic, and it works. How would it feel to be completely debt-free and to start building incredible wealth much, much faster? Schedule your free Debt to Wealth discovery call today at fearlesslydebtfree.com and take your next steps fearlessly.
Anyone who's already up and running with their bookkeeping VA has questions, they have an opportunity to pop in. I'm not an accountant or a CPA, so I can't give them tax advice. But what I can do is help them formulate questions that they can take to their CPA to get information. And so that's really exciting. We also have monthly meetings with all of the bookkeepers. And that's where I inform them if there's any information that's changed or any new protocols that I want them to follow. And we have a community for all of the bookkeeping VAs, just in case one of them comes across a question that they haven't come across before. There's a whole list of professional bookkeepers in our community. They can answer questions for each other. And of course, Jeannie and I are there to support them if they have questions around interacting with the clients.
It's all such a great formula. And I know you work really, really hard to make sure you have the systems in place. Like you said, Jeannie's so good about putting those systems in place, but you specifically have such a vision. I only imagine that when you talk to not only the clients, but even the VAs, you're giving them the ideas that they need and the thoughts that they should be thinking, almost to the point where you're seeing things that your client and your VA doesn't actually see. So that's amazing. I think that takes it to one next step that some people don't think about. It's not, like you said, just a marketing or just a program that they can use. It comes with so much more, and there's so much value in that. And you offer more value than probably any other program that I've been aware of. So that's great. But I want to talk a little bit more specifically about the client who comes to you, they might be feeling a little bit nervous about sharing their financial information. And how does that work? And at what level of security do you offer that could give them that comfort in sending all of their financials over to your VAs and to your program?
Well, first of all, the VA actually ends up working directly for the client because we're really big on the client having direct access to the VA and having a personal relationship with them. And I feel like that happens when the client pays the bookkeeper themselves, right? So it's a different type of relationship. In our training portal, we have a training on security protocols. Obviously, the bookkeeping software out there has features where you're only giving your bookkeeper access to what they need to see. But we do go a little bit deeper into the things that can really keep you secure. And in some ways, I know this sounds crazy, but in some ways, I feel like it's a little bit safer having someone overseas than having someone in your office. So, if you have an office manager that does your bookkeeping, they have the access to the checks that are sitting there. And that's one of the quickest ways to embezzle money is to write checks, or they have access to the company credit card so they can start buying little things for themselves. And over time, that can add up to a lot of money. It's really interesting because I did do a lot of research around embezzlement. And what's crazy to me too is it's estimated that with nonprofits in the US, I took every nonprofit and every dollar they brought through the door, on average, 5% of that is embezzled every year, stolen. And these are people stealing from nonprofits. So for us, it's very important as business owners to have security protocols in place. And we do talk a great deal about that. I also think you can't live in a state of fear. And one of the reasons why I was able to really hire our bookkeeper initially and then start hiring bookkeepers for our clients is because I've been hiring bookkeepers for bookkeeping companies and CPA firms, as well as auditors. So with my one-on-one clients, I hire specific virtual assistants for them, which is different than our programs. So I already knew I could do that. So it's estimated that right now around 30% of all CPA companies and bookkeeping companies outsource. So even if you're using a local company, there is a chance that your information is being handled by someone overseas.
And I just understand the gravity of that. And I feel very confident sitting here talking with you, knowing that you're doing it the right way. And you're right. It's great to have somebody looking over your shoulder, just because if you were having an issue with another company or things were going out of your business that you weren't really aware of, there's
Right.
the accountability to your books each and every week, each and every month, that maybe you may, I don't know about you, but my clients know they're not doing they're not doing that. So it really
Right.
brings that accountability in and somebody to guide them. So are you working with your virtual assistants and your clients at the same time to go through the initial protocol so that they really get comfortable with exactly what's happening? Your VA knows what's going on, your client knows what's going on, and then they build that relationship from building that solid foundation and they go from there.
Yeah, so all of the bookkeepers have a degree in accounting or finance. They're all QuickBooks, and a lot of them are also Zero certified. They all have a minimum of 3 years in small business bookkeeping. So they have to qualify really to work with us. Then they have to go through a training portal. I can't teach them how to be a bookkeeper, that's their profession. But we do have standards and protocols and processes for how they interact with the clients. What we have found so far is because they are professionals, once I introduce the bookkeeper and the client, they really have their first meeting. And because we provided structure for both the client and the virtual assistant, they really run with that. I am never involved in a client's finances. It's none of my business. And it's really interesting because I feel like I have a little bit of a history of things that have happened, which made it really easy for me to help train the virtual assistants, but also bring these things up to clients. I remember when I had my mortgage company, you and I know each other, Lisa Maria, maybe we know Sally from networking. It wouldn't be uncommon for Sally to walk up to me and say, "Hey, what interest rate did Lisa Marie get? Or how much is that house Lisa Marie's buying?" And I would always say, "You're taking it back." And I would always say, really, that's not my story to share. I take my clients' information and their confidentiality very seriously. And so because I've been in that very awkward position more than one time over the years of being in the mortgage industry, I really work with the bookkeepers to be able to say, if someone asks you anything about anyone else's finances, this is how you shut it down. You just simply say, I signed a confidentiality agreement with you, just like I signed a confidentiality agreement with all the other clients, and I can't break that. And then with the clients, because again, when the person asks, when Sally asked me, what's Lisa Marie's interest rate or how much is the house she's buying? She isn't really, it isn't malicious. She's curious, right? So it's often not coming from a bad place, but again, it's really confidentiality is huge. And so we explain that to the client too. These are questions you should never ask them because it's not fair to them. And even with me, for the clients, I may reach out to a bookkeeper and say, hey, how are things going with Judy? You guys have been working together about a month. How are things going? And they'll give me an update. It has nothing to do with the finances. And I'm always very clear. I always put, remember, I'm not asking you anything about their finances. I just want to know, oh yeah, we're caught up, or we've been able to get caught up for the past few months. And I think we'll have everything caught up to date in the next 2 months. I just want to know a progress report. And then I want to know how the relationship's going. Yes, we've dialed in. We're having our weekly meetings. Eventually that will go to a monthly meeting. So I am involved a little bit in the background. But what we have found is because they are professional bookkeepers, even though we call them bookkeeping VAs, they really take the lead. And that's what we've heard from a lot of clients, that the level of professionalism, the level of integrity, and the level of support. So if it's a client that I know, we've had a few clients who've been several years behind on bookkeeping and paying and filing their taxes. And it always comes from a trauma. Something traumatic has happened in their life and it shut them down. And so when I'm working with pairing them with the bookkeeper, one, I want to make sure it's the right personality fit, but also I explain to both sides that the bookkeeper is not going to push you to go faster than you can go, but they are there to take the work off of your shoulders. And every time, all we've ever heard were raving things like, oh my gosh, they were so patient. And I actually got things together faster because she was so patient. She wasn't pushing me, but I felt like I was seeing progress, and that motivated me to keep moving forward and keep going. So we really are not too involved once I've paired them, because again, those bookkeepers are professionals and they tend to do a great job.
And isn't it so powerful that you come from a coaching focus and a heart focus, and you're pairing them with a VA, of course, a bookkeeper VA, but more importantly, you're expressing hopefully to your potential clients that there's no shame. We know that you could get behind. We know that these things are happening, which is why I've decided to go down this road for personal experience. And then, of course, now the things that you see, there is an expression, and it's profit is a habit. So to start those small little steps to move somebody forward, you can see their confidence build, I imagine, without knowing their numbers. I know that you mentioned too that there was some great feedback that came through. What are some of the feedback mentions that have really struck a chord with you or prompted you to do something different or just celebrate what's happening in your business?
Yeah, we obviously love getting messages. We had one client, he had a bookkeeper, but it would take her a week and a half, 2 weeks to email him back. So he was always feeling frustrated because things weren't up to date. And if he had questions, they weren't getting answered. And so after he was paired with his bookkeeping VA, he said the relationship was night and day. He said he felt like he truly had a team member and he really felt supported. But what was funny is his wife came back and she thanked us for giving her husband back. She said for the past year or two, he's just been so anxious and stressed out about the bookkeeping and the finances and all of that. She's like, he's back to his happy self now. And so we have to realize, even for someone who is up to date already, if it's not going well and they feel like a little bit out of control because they can't reach their bookkeeper, that having that person who is getting back to you quickly, that is willing to schedule meetings. The other thing that's interesting, Lisa Marie, is that if your bookkeeper is $50 an hour or $95 an hour, you're not as likely to want to meet with them every week when you're first getting things together. And maybe you don't even want to spend $100 a month to meet with them to go over your financials. So a lot of people won't do that. But at $9 an hour, you're thrilled to meet with them. And that's when you see not only their level of expertise, but their passion around bookkeeping. So we've got lots of reviews from clients with wonderful things to say. But I think the thing that surprised us most was how many thank you notes and things that we have received in emails from the bookkeeping virtual assistants, thanking us for the clients, telling us how lovely the clients are. One guy said, you made my 2025. We love everything that you're doing. And so it really does show the magic of helping two people, helping the client and helping the virtual assistant overseas.
So you clearly are taking it from your clients seeing maybe some chaos in their business to them really identifying themselves as CEOs who really own their own wealth with having a great tool that you can offer them. So I imagine that happens all the time. And as you look ahead in this journey, and I'm imagining also that you are seeing more and more people step up to that title,
Mhm.
not having that hang over their head. But with six figure business coaching that you have started, and now it's evolved with all of these different, you've got your hands in a different pot, which all work together. Where do you see your business going in the next few years?
Oh my gosh. I want to speak really quickly before I jump into that is because you help people get out of debt, right? And with business owners, a lot of times they're not paying themselves what they're worth, which means they end up racking up business debt and then, of course, personal debt because they didn't take a paycheck. So they're putting their groceries on their credit card this week. So I think our passions are so in alignment because it's estimated that 92% of small business owners overpay in taxes. And most of that comes from just being disorganized and also not knowing some of the really unique tax strategies that they could take advantage of. So my passion is helping them get that handle on their finances. And a lot of them do have their bookkeepers take care of their personal finances and their business finances so that they can really start to pay off debt and to have that debt-free life that you help people do. And for some people, that may be getting rid of their credit cards and consumer debt. But I know you're also really passionate about helping people pay off their houses and their cars so that they can really live 100% debt free. And I feel like these two things go hand in hand. It's hard to get out of debt and stay out of debt if you're not paying attention to your numbers. And when we named our program, Love Your Profit, there are so many ways that having your bookkeeping in order will actually increase your profit margin. One, you're going to pay less in taxes. You're going to take advantage of all those write-offs. Two, we've had so many clients who've realized once they really understood their expenses that they were dramatically undercharging and had to increase their rates. Some people decided to let some offers go because it didn't make sense anymore. That information gives them the power to make better financial decisions. And in each of those little tiny micro decisions, they're making changes that will give them way more cash flow in their personal lives so that they can build the life that they want, that they dreamt of when they started their business, and also have the financial stability to grow the business. So where do I see the business going? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And like I said, everything we've done in marketing, everything we've done in the past decade has been in marketing, which I have loved every second of it. But that's really Jeannie's unique ability. And since my background is mortgage and I love numbers and finance, I went to Jeannie at the end of 2025. And I said, I knew we would help people, but getting all of these testimonials and hearing what everyone's saying, I would like to help 1,000 business owners in 2026 get their finances in order. And I would like to make that a mission and make that mission public. And that was scary for us. And Jeannie said, I'm on board to do that. And will we hit the goal? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I think by understanding that I know how much that can change business owners' lives. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping them so that they can have a bigger impact, so that they can grow their personal wealth and live the life that they want while serving clients at the highest level. So that's one area we want to continue to help business owners with their finances. Right now, I don't see us coming out with any new programs. We definitely love helping our clients get booked on podcasts and things like that, having the support. But you know us, Lisa Marie, if a need pops up and we see where we can help someone that involves training and pairing them with a virtual assistant, who knows? I love what I do. I get up every day excited. So enjoy our clients. And yeah, so I'm happy, 100% happy.
I love it. I love it. And that's no surprise that you are open to if something else should pop up because you never know. You never know. Look where it's taken you to today. And I know that we're going to end our time here today with talking a little bit more about your Profit Clarity Masterclass. And it's offered a couple times a month. So I would love for you to talk about that a little bit because I feel like that's the first steps in finding out a little bit more about your program.
Sure, absolutely. So we host a masterclass on the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 2 p.m. And this is if you are thinking about maybe wanting to hire someone, we would love to have you come. We promise you in this masterclass, you're going to learn some things that will help you, whether you choose to work with us or not. So that class is really just about talking a little bit about how we work, what it looks like to work with someone overseas, talking about some of the things that people can change easily right now in their businesses. Whether they work with us or not, they will get some information that can help them become more profitable. And then at the end of that master class, people in the class, a special offer. And yeah, we can put the link in the show notes below. Is that okay? Awesome.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, we'll do anything we can to promote you and your business. And I know personally that I've had so many great conversations with you, and I love the way that your brain thinks. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank
You always
you.
come up with all these different great ideas. And I want to thank you for the gift in my life and your talents that you share with me. And anyone who works with you, I know that their mind is going to go, "Pff, I never thought of it that way." So many ways to grow, right? And we can always think outside the box a little bit. But I want to thank you, Kirsten, so much. We talk about big, bold moves, abundant life. You certainly embody that whole sentence with beautiful intention. And I know your heart is always in the right place. And you got to go and take that first step. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with me. And anybody who listens, you can, like Kirsten said, see any information in the show notes to get in touch with her. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me today, Lisa Marie.
My pleasure. Kirsten, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your heart, your passion, and all of the things that make you who you are. I always love leaving our conversations inspired, and I know that our listeners will too. If something from today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to take action. Sometimes one small step, one new perspective, or one meaningful conversation can create moments that change everything. Thank you for joining us today here at Big Bold Moves Abundant Life. And until next time, keep making those big, bold moves to create your abundant life.
Your freedom to claim. Enjoy this journey, no more of the same. We're turning pressure into power and fight. From paycheck to purpose, we rise above. This is your moment, it starts with self-love. Big boy.